Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode number 3 of Marketers Who Can't Market. Join me, why don't you, if you're a marketer, a salesperson, a blogger who thinks they're pretty good at their job and these days are finding, maybe I'm not so good at my job. What do I really know about marketing? What have I forgotten? What do I need to know? That's what this podcast is about. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about Facebook advertising, paid traffic, um, and provide some interesting insight as to what it's been like using Facebook advertising for the past 2 months or so. I have used it before at various points in time over the years, probably going back at least 10 years, I think. I've always hated it. I've always found it to be a convoluted mess of crap on the back end. It is still that way. You need it's like walking through IKEA, actually. Or IKEA, if you're in, I think that's how they say it here in Japan. It's a nightmare. You can't find anything. You can't get support for anything. It's a fucking nightmare. And the last week and a half, I actually have been locked out of my account because I dropped my phone in some water, a little bowl of water that sits on the ground. Yeah, so I was sitting down to pee really fast. Is this too much information? I don't know. I was sitting down to pee really fast, and as I dropped my pants because I was going to pick up the phone and look at it for a couple minutes before I hopped on a call, dropped my pants, and my phone promptly fell right into the toilet and died, pretty much. So the person that I was supposed to talk with on the phone, have a lesson with here in Japan, I have not been able to chat with since then. I've not replaced my phone because I pretty much hate the things anyway, and this poor girl probably thinks I'm dead or something. I've been trying every way known to man to get in touch with her via line. And I was locked out of my Facebook account, and Line had told me, I'm going off on a tangent here, Line had told me that, oh, it looks like you signed up via Facebook, so correct that mess first, because it's two-step verification on all of these platforms anymore. And if you lose your phone, you're in some deep doo-doo. So finally today I got back into Facebook, but I still can't get into Line. So it's a little bit of a nightmare. But getting support from Facebook, even as a customer, a paying customer, was like impossible. I was spending hours just trying to figure out how to get a hold of them. And you can't log in. If you can't log in, you can't request help, right? And if you can't log in because you're dealing with some sort of two-step verification problem, then it's even more ridiculous. I had to take a picture of my passport and send it to them, and they say they'll get back to you in 48 hours, which they don't. So I sent in another form of verification, ID verification. That seemed to work. And today I was finally able to get in. But anyway, Facebook ads is a nightmare, and I think that's why it's so intimidating to most average business owners. And if you're a marketing person working at a company and you're thinking of trying it on your own or giving it to some junior colleague, be prepared for them to know or you to not know anything for quite a long time. You have to spend days really figuring out how to work this, which is why people create courses, I think, that suggest that they can teach you all of their quote-unquote secrets. There's a way to do it, but it's a mess. That said, it works. And it is kind of like turning on a spigot of a sort when it comes to targeting well. So one of the mysteries for me that I discovered in trying to do some, when I started doing research on this a couple weeks ago, I was looking for people who seem to know what they're doing. And one of the things that I discovered is people do not use the general ad creation page, if you will. I think they call it Ad Center or some shit like that, to create audiences for the ads, because they're limited. And I don't know why Facebook does this. It's very much an obstacle to getting a good result. So if you don't know how to create a good audience, you're going to get inferior results. And it would seem to me that if they want people to stay advertising with the platform, and there's arguments as to why this might be happening actually, namely that they don't want low-paying customers like you and me. They really want big guys who have the time and the budget to spend on figuring out the platform, and then they probably get a certain level of help that you and I aren't going to get. Um, but anyway, the interface at the first level, if you will, is not very good, and so you create ads and you get horrible results. You get cost per clicks that are expensive, and you get people. I've had audiences segmented to cities here in Japan, let's say Osaka or Tokyo, or here in Kobe where I live, and I get people clicking on my ads that live in Kenya and stuff like that. And you're like, give me a break. And why am I paying for these ads? And I certainly didn't say that I wanted anyone outside of these metros. So why am I getting them? Good luck complaining to Facebook about that, because then you run into this support rigmarole, right? On that note, one thing I have noticed is if you prioritize the ad for clicks, they have this thing that says like, do you want us to get more clicks for you? Then select this. We'll show your ad to people who will click. And that seems to be how you end up with these ridiculous clicks that don't really kind of cater or match your intended audience. So unless you discover some better way of handling that selection, if you're just getting started with this, I would stay away from that as a choice, if you will, for who you want to click on your ads. It's very, very weird and frustrating, and you're spending a little bit of money just to kind of test things out and keep it low. I generally spend $3 a day, or 300 yen here in Japan, and then I watch it and see what happens each day. And if the cost per clicks are too high and I don't really see any good results, like I've tried to send people to a kind of mini funnel, if you will, where I give something away for free. And I mentioned yesterday in my podcast that my offers seem to suck. So people don't they'll click, but then they don't sign up for the thing that I'm giving away. So if my cost per result, what they call cost per result, is too high, in other words, someone clicks on it and then Facebook charges me for that click, if it's what I consider to be too high, which for my taste right now at least is anything upwards of $1 is too much for me. I don't want to pay that much, especially if they don't do anything. It's a waste of money. So I'll just turn off the ads right away. It's a nice thing that you can do with Facebook. Test it, spend a couple bucks, and just watch it, and then turn it off if you don't want it. I have found that one thing that works is if you give the ad a little bit more time to breathe. It's kind of like gambling. If you can not be so freaked out by a high cost per click in the beginning, and you allow your campaign to run for, let's say, 10 days. Lately, I've been doing 30-day runs. The cost per click seems to average out better. My understanding suggests that Facebook does a better job over time in figuring out who to show your ad to. I don't know how that works, but that seems to be part of the trick. But the biggest thing you need to keep in mind and try until they seem to be taking it away from us in July is this section of Facebook called Audience Insights. So if you type into Google Audience Insights, and maybe I can put the link below in the description, you can get to this section where you really can find people who have specific interests in specific pages on Facebook. In other words, they follow certain things, they look a certain way, meaning they speak a certain language, or they live in a certain country, or they're married, or they're single. And some of that does seem available on the front part of setting up your ad, but it doesn't seem to work nearly as well on this Audience Insights thing. And the other thing is, I don't know if you experienced this yourself. I use a 13-inch laptop, MacBook Pro from 2009. It still works exceedingly well. And I've got to like scroll up and down and sideways. It's like using a mobile phone from 10 years ago. It's craziness. I think the Facebook designers are probably using gigantic monitors and have lost the awareness that not everybody has a monitor of that size. In the Audience Insights section, you don't have to deal with that problem. So please, I would highly suggest that's where you begin to start creating your ads. I think you have to set up a business account to do it, which is not hard. just do it, and you'll be good to go. So why do this at all, right? So I've been doing it for two websites that I have right now. The Mapleopo website, which is all about Japanese literature. If you're into Japanese literature, my wife and I do translations and we do some of our own work. You can check that out there. And we like people to know what it is we're doing there. So we have I have one campaign running now, but I had a few running over the past 2 weeks that did fairly well. I turned off the others in favor of this one that's been doing really well. So and I say it's doing well because the cost per click is super, super low. So we only pay 7 yen per click for this particular campaign. That is really good. Like, I'm looking at this page here that talks about, and generally I know like cost per click of anything in the marketing world is considerably higher than that. So 7 cents, basically, if you're thinking about US dollars, is really dirt cheap, right? So here on WordStream, I'm looking at this basic cost per click. If you're looking at apparel, it's 45 cents. Auto is 224. Of course, that makes sense. But the lowest is apparel. And then what the hell is this? Pink travel and hospitality, it looks like 63 cents. So we're paying 7. And that's amazing. And numbers wise, so 7 cents per result so far, and I think this has only been running maybe since the beginning of May. It's May 14th or so now. May 14th, and we've had 102,002 impressions, 7 cents a click, and reach is 31,614 link clicks. Now, link clicks is a convoluted kind of result. Apparently, it means they might have clicked on anything within the ad. This ad is a carousel ad, meaning it has several different pictures. I think we have 10 pictures in there. And so some person, and they're showed randomly to the audience. So some people may click on one of the pictures. They might click on the About Us, or excuse me, the Learn More, or they might actually click on the our page itself. So sometimes people will click on Mapleopo, they'll click on Learn More, which takes them to our page, our website, or they'll click on an image, which seems to, I think, just show them the image. But this is the way this stuff works, right? I really don't know all of how this is working, except that we are indeed seeing traffic. We have not seen any additional mailing list subscribers. But the traffic is good, and what we are noticing with the traffic is people will land on a particular page and they bounce around. So we can see from Google Analytics and the Search Console where they go. So we're getting good good visits. Some people are liking, giving smiley faces, and all sorts of stuff like that. So not bad. I had a similar post on. Where I was promoting Osaka on Nihon Hustle, and even though I mentioned earlier I was getting guys from Africa clicking on it, the cost per engagement on that was only 9 yen, 9 cents a click. I had another one for a book that I wrote. I was offering free samples, 10 cents, right? 779 impressions, reach was about the same, blah, blah, blah. So not bad. Most of my campaigns have been running about between, so I had another campaign is about 12 cents. That was for freelance writers per click. Then they start getting up around 30s, in the 30s, 30 cents, upwards 40, 50, 60, 70. Then I start to hit $1. And that's when I start to be like, I'm not so excited about that one. Then 112, then 274. That was for a video, actually. And then we had this other one that we tried for a very, very short time. And we got a lot of impressions, but it costs $7.67. So that's $7. And for that one, we had structured the ad for landing page views. So I've played around with having Facebook charge me for the landing page view, which is they land on mapleopo.com or they land on nihonhustle.com, because to me that's a little bit more valuable, or link clicks, which Facebook likes to use instead. So link clicks tends to be cheaper. Landing page views are perhaps more valuable but more expensive. So it's you have to kind of play around with it and see what works, right? Um, but I would encourage you to take a look at this and learn how to do it. There are a number of players in the marketplace right now who are doing a bang up job of creating attention for their products on Facebook and online, um, and a number of people who have done it for a long time. So yesterday, I think I don't know. Recently, I was mentioning Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels. He's like all over Facebook. Frank Kern, who is probably one of the best copywriters you could learn from these days, and for the past 20 years, uses the hell out of Facebook. The guys at Samcart are a bit heavy-handed and a little bit. What's the word? I'm trying to be diplomatic here. A little bit sneaky is all I can say, really. I think they know what they're doing, right? They kind of get you in. They get you to bite on something, and they don't necessarily, I feel at least, give you all of what you think you're going to get once you kind of click into the offer. So, for example, now they have this Facebook training thing going on, and they hype the shit out of it. Like, you're gonna Facebook training, but I gotta the Facebook training first page is the first lesson of this amazing Facebook training that they're promoting. It's like how to set up a Facebook business account. I mean, really, is it that hard? And do you really need training for that? I don't think so. But it gets people in their funnel. It gets people clicking so that they can retarget them with ads. So it's a game, right? I don't like all of that. You can use Facebook however you want. But these guys use it exceedingly well. And I think what I would encourage you to do is follow these people. So an old copywriting trick is to create what's called a swipe file. It's just a fancy name for cutting out, like I used to do when I was a kid, cutting out ads that you liked and saving them. Like I used to devour the J. Peterman catalog when I was a kid because the writing in there is fantastic, and I model some of that myself for one of my other sites that I'm working on. That if it ever turns into anything interesting, I'll start talking about it as well. But it has a dark side to it too, right? So you got to be really careful. But if you want to try out Facebook ads, I would highly encourage you to play around with it. I think it can make a huge difference in your ability to kind of test what works. And then in line with what I've also been talking about the past couple days is it's telling me, so it's showing me very clearly that people will click on a link. They're probably pretty good once I've used audio or audience insights. They're probably fairly well targeted. They land on my site and they don't do anything. So that tells me I'm not doing a good job of keeping them interested when they reach my site, right? That's the key. So this is the test, right? So you can create all this content like we used to do at Revenue Well in Chicago and wonder like, is it working? Are people doing anything? Well, are they coming to the site? Or who's coming to the site, right? This is a great way to figure that out. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but you do have to learn how to do it. And expect that you won't know much of anything as you go through it. Budgets will like disappear really quickly. And Facebook has this very lovely way of like billing you without really like in the traditional invoice sense. So there's no like tabulation of you have a budget of 0 on day 1 and then you spend money and then you have a budget of a negative 10, let's say. It doesn't really work that way. So you have a budget of 0 and then you put $10 in and then maybe you spend $8 on a campaign. Then you expect that it will show, okay, you have $2 left. There's no ledger happening. So all you're constantly doing is adding money, being charged for some bizarre combination of clicks and views and all sorts of magical, something wicked this way comes sort of thing. And then you are suddenly at a place where your ads aren't running anymore. And Facebook says, oh, your ads are there's an account error, I think they call it. There's an account error. You ran out of money, so you have to put more money in. But you really don't know what the hell your budget was that you spent. It's like when I was in college and you would go to the ATM machine and the ATM machine would say, your balance is $125 because we were poor sons of guns in college, and you, like all college students, we have $125 in your account from your lovely part-time job. And great, so I'm going to go out with my buddies and we'll get some pizza and maybe we'll have a few beers or whatever. So I'm going to take some money out of the ATM machine. And so I'm set, right? So I take out, I don't know, $50 or whatever, $25. I have no idea. Let's say I take out $25. So the bank says there's $100 in there. I take out 25. I walk away thinking, I'm good. I got $100 in there for whatever might come in, whatever checks from earlier in the week I wrote to the CD store, to the pizza place, or maybe I had to pay for book. I bought a book at the bookstore or something like that, right? In the 80s, the way it used to work is that was like a phantom number. This is the way Facebook does their ads. It's like a phantom number. $125 in my account is not really $125 in my account because the bank knows that there are several checks coming in that they have not shown as having posted yet. Posted meaning cleared or been deducted, let's say, from the ledger. So they allowed us to take out that $25 to go out on a Friday night, which brings my balance down to $100. But then, let's say I've got over $100 in checks coming in, then I'm overdrawn. And the bank, they say, oh, we're sorry, you're overdrawn, and that's gonna cost you $45. And so you start the beginning of the next day or the next week in the hole. 100, no, you're not in the whole 100, but you're in the whole $45 plus whatever the hell the difference was in the checks that came through. That's what it's like using Facebook ads. You don't have any idea what you're spending. So you probably are, and I should do this myself, get to a point where you're at a zero balance, and I've asked them about this, and they like willy-nilly give me zero response, basically, that means anything. You should probably create an Excel spreadsheet ledger and keep track of everything. And since there's no real need to like keep your ads going and going and going, like wait until you can get, when you reach the limit where they say, okay, you've reached your budget, then be sure you've zeroed out and then top it off again. Because they don't, just like in this bank example, the charges come in a somewhat rolling fashion. So you'll think that you have more money in there and you really don't actually. So that's Facebook ads. I'm learning how to do it. You should try it out. Keep in mind that audience insights thing that I talked about earlier seems to be going away, whatever the hell that means, in July. So what I've started doing is creating some specific audiences that I know I'm going to want to target as I move forward with my site. So at least I think they're going to be there after July as audiences I can use, even though I may not be able to create them using this tool. So there you go. Facebook ads. It's fairly useful and fairly cheap. I mean, I'm looking at this is, I haven't spent much money. I can't even, I'm having to scroll to figure out what the hell my total is. I don't know. It's not a lot. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think, and hopefully you can get something out of it. I have been getting some things out of it, and I wish you all the luck. That's it for episode number 3, Wandering in the land of IKEA and Facebook ad hell. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to talk about any day. Just kind of turn on the mic, and I think I have a good idea. Let's go from here, right? Peace out from Kobe, Japan. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. I forget to promote myself. Subscribe. Like this if you found it very valuable. And go visit my page. Do you need hosting? There's good hosting I talk about there. All right, see you later. Bye.